Live. Are we live? I see the live thing. So I guess we are live. I'm like, I see the live thing. I guess we are live. What's up, everybody? I'm so hyped about this panel tonight and this discussion. Thank you for joining us. We're going to give people a couple of minutes to join, and then we are going to dig into the conversation because we got some amazing people joining us tonight, which I'm really excited. I'm your host, Trey Anthony, and welcome to The Mic is On. This is an amazing talk series that I'm curating with my partner in crime, Ashley Mackenzie Barnes, and we are so excited to be doing this together with for Harborfront. And of course, we got the wonderful sponsorship of TD Bank, which has been my bank for many damn years. TD has sponsored me in so many different things. I love TD. So I'm going to tell everybody right now, if you are not with TD Bank, you should get with TD Bank. Close all other banks and get with TD, because TD puts their money where their mouth is. And they really give back to the Black community. So I know they have sponsored The Kink. They have sponsored Secrets of a Black Boy. They've sponsored so many of my stuff. What's the other one? How Black Mothers Say I Love You. So I love that, right? So I'm very excited that TD has come on board again. So we could do this wonderful panel and we could pay people to show up tonight because we got some artists on board. We got some activists. We got some daddies who got to buy formula and shit. So yeah, we got to pay people. Right? so good. It's just me talking right now because we're waiting for people to join, and then I'm going to introduce the panel. I'm just going to get a little sign from Harborfront that I'm ready to go, and we are excited and we are good. So tonight's panel, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I think this is the first time this has happened, where I have, you guys know that I come from Toronto. I live between Atlanta and Toronto. And so I've met some amazing folks in Atlanta, and I also have my folks in Toronto. And this is the first time that my world has merged with people that I love from Atlanta and Toronto. So I'm really excited. So we got A-Town in the house. We got the T-Dot in the house. Yeah, give it up for the 6, give it up for the A. You guys can tell I'm hyped tonight. And I didn't even take anything. This is just me at all times, right? Because I don't do that shit. So anyways, first couple I want to introduce, the first people on my panel is Curtis and Eric. Where are they at?
Oh,
Curtis and Eric?
We're here.
Hey.
You here? Good to see you guys. How you been?
Doing great.
How are you?
Doing
And you guys are in the A-Town.
Yes.
And so thank you for joining me. I'm so excited to have you guys. You guys are amazing people. You're not just my guests, you're also my good friends. And this is how much I love Curtis and Eric, that when I got my little baby boy, they were the first people that I called up because I really wanted them to participate in a really conscious and wonderful role in my son's life. And so I just think they're just amazing, wonderful men. And you guys have been together for 6 years and married for 4. And you recently adopted a wonderful little boy named Elijah, who's 13. Am I remembering that right? Okay, you see, I know this stuff, right? And so I'm excited to bring you guys on. And so I'm gonna first just introduce all of the panel, and then I'm gonna come back and start with a question with you guys, okay? And then next we have Everett Renee. Where are you guys? Where's Everett? Everett is also from the A-Town. Everett is wearing his leather, which I'm gonna dive into this because this leather culture, I have no idea about what's going on. And so I'm very curious. And off screen, Everett invited me to come to, what did you call it? A pearl and what night? What's the night, Everett?
It's Onyx Bar Night.
Onyx Bar Night, where everybody wears leather. So all I have to do is find a babysitter and you and me are on, right? But this is after COVID is gone. So I want to show up in my leather kilt and then get a cough. I don't want to do that shit. So, so Everett is an activist. You also are a daddy, and you also have a son, Elijah. So there's 2 Elijahs in my life. And Elijah is 4 years old now, right?
Yeah, 4.
Oh my gosh, when I met you, Elijah, I remember you were carrying Elijah when I met you. So you were wearing Elijah. So I think he was maybe about 3 or 4 months old. That was the last time, the first time I met Elijah. And you are a daddy. You have been married for 3 years, but you were with your wife for 10 years and you've been divorced for 2, correct? Right? Did I get that all right?
Correct.
Okay, so we're gonna come back to you to talk about what it's like being a daddy, what it's like dating, what it's like wearing leather. I need to know all of this about you, Everett. So we're gonna come back to you, right? And then the next person, well, hey, Samson Brown. If you're in Toronto, you know who, he's the superstar, just out there doing his thing. I like to take, and I'm going to take this right now, I like to be the one who takes credit to say, I discovered Samson Brown and put him on the map as an actor. Can I take that credit, Samson? Can I take that credit? That I was the first one who put you in a real show.
I mean, yeah, you did.
Why are you sounding hesitant about this? I don't understand.
I had done theater before, but yes, you were the first person to put me in a professional theater show. Yes.
Oh, okay. So I discovered him. And then after that, Samson is doing Gillette commercials, up in the Shaw Festival, just doing all big things. He doesn't chat to me no more unless I invite him on panels like this. So he's just left. His star has risen, and that is okay. I saw your potential in the beginning, okay? So I will take credit for that. Samson Brown, actor, activist, storyteller, healer, doing all kinds of things. So we're gonna come back and talk about what you've been doing when you're not shaving with Gillettes. So we need to know what's going on with you, right? Have you guys seen this big time Gillette commercial? Okay, we'll come back to that. Anyways, then the next wonderful person is Ja Gray, storyteller, artist. Ja, I did not know this until I talked to my brother yesterday. My brother told me this, that you did his engagement pictures. You also did some of his wedding pictures, and I had no idea that we had that connection. So my brother spoke very highly of you, and I've seen his pictures, and he was just like, yeah, Ja is the truth. And I did not know this, that we had that connection. So I'm also going to claim you as well.
All good.
And you are a
okay
wonderful storyteller, activist, you doing your thing, and we're gonna come back and talk to Ja Gray as well. So we got an amazing, wonderful panel who are gonna tell us all about themselves, and I'm so happy to have them here. So I'm gonna go back to Curtis and Eric. Curtis and Eric, okay. When I put the call out, I said I was looking for a queer or gay male couple who were married and that they had to be Black and married to each other. And one person wrote me back and said you would have better luck finding a unicorn, right? This is what came back. People were like, this does not exist. And I was like, no, we must have gay Black men married to each other. Like, come on, we must have this. And people insisted that I wouldn't be able to find you guys. And then I realized I actually knew this couple that I was looking for, right? You know, when it's right in front of your face. I was like, wait a second. I know these people who I'm looking for. And I realized it was you guys. But do you guys think of yourselves as unicorns? Do you think this is a rare thing for Black gay men to come together and get married? Like, how do you guys see this?
No, we're here. We are definitely here. And I think that a lot of times you don't see us because you create a family. There's certain circles you don't surround yourself with anymore. But we are definitely out here. And we're going strong. And we know quite a few men, married couples who have children as well. You know, so we're here. You know, we're not a unicorn.
You're very real. You're
Yes,
very real.
it's real. It's real, and it can happen.
It can happen. And so before you guys got married, did you know other gay Black men who were married?
I did.
I did that.
Yeah, I did. And some were on rocks, but I did know a few.
Okay. And
So-
you guys, sorry?
No, go ahead.
And I can say, and you guys are happily married?
Yes.
I'm glad nobody hesitated. I'm glad about that shit. Don't hesitate. You guys are holding strong. Give us the hope. We're starting out with hope. So I'm glad you guys are hopeful. Okay, I need this. I need the healing. Okay, so don't let me down.
We won't
Okay.
let you down, sister.
Okay, so tell me, how did you know your relationship was ready for the next step? How long did you guys date before you went ahead to get married?
That's a really interesting question because we physically met in 2014.
Uh-huh.
I believe in the power of words,
Yes.
the energy of sending something out into the universe and having it come back to you. And I wrote a poem back in 1998.
You wrote a poem.
Yes.
I hope you guys are taking notes. Write a poem. Okay. I'm gonna write a poem after this Zoom call. Okay. Write a poem. Okay.
And after I wrote the poem, I wrote down in my journal exactly what I wanted. Because the
Write
universe,
down in your journal exactly what you want. Okay. Thank you.
and I described it, and I was very clear, and I wasn't holding back on anything, color, size, and the whole physical, but also the spiritual, the whole package. And I went there, and I didn't hold back on anything. And in 2014, that's when we manifested, or that's when we physically came together. But
Okay, slow down. So you wrote down, did you write down like qualities that you were looking for as well?
Yes.
So what qualities were you looking for?
I was looking for someone who was strong with their family. They had a strong family. That was one thing that was family connection. Someone who was comfortable with who they were sexually, their sexual identity.
Yes.
And someone who loved themselves and who was complete within themselves and not trying to find someone to complete them.
Oh, I love that. And Eric, were you at home writing a poem as well? Were you there? I just want to make sure I get this right. Were you writing the poem and writing your list as well?
He was doing the writing, so he was pulling me
calling
in.
you. He's calling you in. So you felt him calling you, and you were like, "Some man is writing a poem about me right now. I'm going to answer the call." Is that what happened?
Yes, I could feel
Okay,
it.
good. Okay. As long as I understand, because you guys are the template for the rest of us, so we need to know how to do this right. So when you guys met, was it like love at first sight? Did you kind of have that feeling like this is going to be my husband, or it was later on?
I think it was later on as we got to know each other.
Okay.
And I think
I knew it was something special when he asked me where I was from. But he didn't, he just said, "Are you from
Gambia
or are you from South Carolina?" And that just threw me because I'm like, no one never narrows it down like that. So
Gambia and South Carolina, that's a big difference.
Yeah. But when I looked at him, that's what I saw.
Okay.
And my people are from South Carolina. So where are you from, Eric?
South Carolina.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. So you kind of knew this was your person.
Yeah, something was different there,
Yeah.
Okay, and who proposed to who before I go on to our next guest? And I'm gonna come back to you. Who proposed?
He says that. It wasn't a proposal, it was a declaration. You see?
Okay. Okay, so you wrote the poem and then you declared what's happening.
And I'm like, I was clear that I knew I wanted to have a partner. I wanted to be married. And I was clear about that. So it wasn't a proposal. That was something that you knew from the very beginning. And if you weren't able to handle that, then, peace and love and blessings, and let's move forward. Because don't waste my energy or waste my time. And I was just very clear on what I wanted. And we talked about it and tell him how, well, where you were when I made it with yourself. Where were you?
Well, I wasn't out yet when I met him, but then
So you weren't out to your family and friends?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Maybe a week, no, maybe a month into it, or a couple of weeks into it, I came out, and it wasn't his personal story, but it was something about him that made me want to be better and want to be open. And I just told my family first, and then my friends, and then everybody else.
Oh, wow. Wow. Oh, my goodness. Okay, we're going to come back to you guys because I love this love story, but I want to just include some of our other guests. This is amazing. I'm going to jump to Everett because I know Everett, there's North Carolina. You're from North Carolina, correct?
Right. Yeah, North Carolina.
So there's love happening in South Carolina, and you're from North Carolina. You're also Jamaican. Big up yourself.
Yeah.
Yes, wagwan, watagwan. So Everett, okay, let's go back because we have the married couple. How long were you married for?
I was married for 3 years. We were together total 10 and been divorced now for almost 2 years.
Okay, so when you met your wife at the time, did you guys know going into this that you always wanted children? Is that something that you guys discussed from the get-go?
We didn't. We did talk about, I love little people. I love little people. And my ex-wife, or a partner at the time, she wanted to birth a child. And so she was clear about that. But it wasn't something we talked about in the first year or two. But as we both got a little bit older, we're like, yeah, we should think about that. So yeah, and here we are.
Here you are. And so when you got to the point when you knew that your marriage was not going to make it, did you think about how a divorce would affect your child? Like what was your decision making around separating and how you guys would then co-parent your son?
Yeah, like I think for me, it was a lot of heartache and a lot of like really going back and forth to think about, what would it look like to not be fully in my son's life, or for us not to make it, because there's a lot of pressure to make it and to make it work.
Yeah.
In all communities, but also definitely in a queer community where
Yes.
we still love each other. And I think for us, we have different priorities, similar values, but different priorities at the time that made us say that, we needed to split. And I think for me, for the love of my son, I want him to be able to see really loving relationships. And because of that, I came to the place where I was just like, it's better for us and for him, and really for me, to model what does it mean to be in a loving union, in a loving relationship, where we are in most alignment, for the sake of what we're trying to build. And so,
Yeah.
And we co-parent, or actually, I don't even think about it as co-parent. I'm always a parent, whether he's with me on these days or not. But like our split is my little one is with me on Mondays and Tuesdays. And then half the day on Wednesday, he goes to his mom's place. Then he's with her on Wednesdays and Thursdays. On Friday, he might come here or he might stay there, but it is equally split. And if he ever wants to see daddy or talk to daddy, I am a phone call and a down the street away. So, and we're pretty
amazing. Yes. I think also too, that I'm not surprised that you were able to come to this, because I've seen and I've met your ex-wife, who's just a lovely human being. And this is why I think it's really important that you need to really choose well, right? So you can come to that kind of mature agreement to say, let's function from the place of what's best for our child. And I've seen a lot of times in queer families, sometimes where it becomes a real hot mess. One parent takes over, the other parent doesn't get a chance to see the child. It gets really messy and ugly. And I'm not surprised that you two start function from that place of like, what is best for our child, right? Because you're both just wonderful people, Like when I heard you guys were not together anymore, it actually physically hurt my heart because I just loved you guys together, you know? So that's amazing. And how old was Elijah when you guys broke up?
We see it's 2. So Elijah was 2.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess you guys didn't have to have that conversation of we are breaking up because he was too little to even process that.
Yeah, I mean, he's still processing it, right? Like in a sense
Yeah.
of, it's like, well, I'm at daddy's house, I'm at mommy's house, mommy and daddy, can we eat together? Yes, we can eat together. So it's like, I think for him, there will be moments, and in some days it can be easy because he's like, I want mommy to stay over, or, can you come to mommy's house, or can daddy come to your house? And, I think that we're both at the place now where we'll begin to date. And what I do say to my son often is that everyone deserves to be loved and loved really well. And
Yes.
if you're not getting the love that you need and want where you are, it's really important for you to be able to find that. And and that's okay. There's an abundance of love. And so it is my hope and my intention to have to continue to say that and to actually function in that way, so he knows that it's not for a lack of love.
I love that. Not for a lack of love. I'm going to jump to Ja because I think this was a great segue. Because Ja, when we did our pre-interview, I had one of the most honest and vulnerable conversations I've ever had with a guest, with you. I just found your vulnerability so amazing. And one of the things that you said that we had this discussion around you saying, as a trans man, you weren't sure that you were going to be able to find someone to love you and to love you properly. And so can you just really talk to us a bit more about what that was like for you? And how did you get past that? Or is that something that you're still working on? Like it's an ongoing process for you?
It's most definitely will always be an ongoing process. And I do feel and believe that as I continue navigating my life, there will be new things that I learn. I think where I'm at right now, even when we had our conversation, the biggest thing too was that the biggest factor was, and the fact was, I didn't know how to love myself. I didn't know what love even looked like. So even, my expectations and my expectations that I had on other people to love me was very screwed. And I think, and I try not to be too hard on myself about it because, I'm young and I'm still learning.
Yes.
But yeah, the more I kind of, ended up in dynamics, I realized, okay, like it was kind of one of those ones where I always asked myself, like, why am I ending up in spaces that aren't good for me?
Oh, preach it, John. Preach
yeah.
it. You're talking to me. You're talking to me. Yes.
Yeah. So I was always wondering, and to be honest, before I blamed everybody else but myself. And I think it was very hard for me to be transparent and vulnerable with myself about what was actually going on deep inside, because that in turn meant that I had to work on so much more. And I think that I already felt like I was working on too much, and so yeah, just like not work, and not that I was intentionally trying to not work on myself.
Yes.
I was just realizing there was a lot of ways that I was masking my life. And so for me, when I started transitioning, yeah, there was definitely an idea beyond that as well, because of what society has put on me as a trans person, the expectations that they have of me as not only as a trans person, but a Black trans man. And then also for me being queer, and then I also identify with being bisexual. So my relationships and the people that and my ability even to vocalize that was who I was, and that's who I am, and still feel okay, it definitely hindered my idea of what love was, and if I was someone that was worthy of love. And then I kind of was like, okay, well, why am I instead of looking at other people for the worthiness. Do I even see myself as somebody who is even lovable? And so I think that's where I was at. And I think also it was really easy for me to say that I wasn't lovable because I was trans. I think that was very easy for me to put that as something that was blocking out receiving love, because being and transitioning and being who I am was just such a traumatic experience from family, from previous friends, from community, and all that stuff, that there were things that obviously made me feel like I wasn't lovable enough, or I was.
And did your family support your transition, or they did not support your transition?
At first, they didn't support it at all. It was very hard, but I left my house at a very young age, so I wasn't around them when I first started. And so when I was starting, I remember, I think probably church people saw me on Facebook and they told my mom.
It's
That's
always
how it
the church
usually is.
people. It's
That's
always the
the
damn
church
church people.
Yeah,
it's always them damn fast church people.
They're up in
They're
everyone's
always
business.
the ones,
So,
instead of praying, they're up in your business. It's always
exactly.
the church folks.
So I'm pretty sure,
the church folks need to come to the leather bar with me and
they
Everett.
do, yes. It's like, I'm pretty sure that's kind of how my mom found out, but I was already out of the house before I was transitioning. But when I did go back, and it was a shit show, and I stopped talking to family for 4 years, and I was kind of doing my own thing. And shout out to Samson. Samson has had my back, and when I didn't have a place to live, he took care of me. So, and he was a trans guy in my life, a Black trans guy in my life that I look up to, and I've looked up to before, that has really taken me under his wing to like really show me that like you're somebody that's worth having people who care about you. So, I think, it's like even now, it's like from our conversation, it's been a couple of days, but now my idea is a little bit more, it's a little bit, from our conversation, I'm always learning. So yeah, we'll see how it is. It's going to be an ongoing journey, and I'm so grateful to have people in my life to remind me to not even, they don't need to be in my life on a consistent basis to remind me like time and time, but I haven't been talking to Samson in a long time, but it's like, even seeing his face on Zoom, it's like, yo, wow, like,
I know, and Samson is an OG, but the thing is, Samson looks 14, but Samson's been around.
Yeah, it's just the small reminders, the small reminders of seeing Samson here and being able to be on the same discussion and sort of panel with him is always going to be a reminder to me that I am worthy, and I'm somebody that's able to be loved.
Yes.
And maybe my idea around what love even looks like needs to be redefined and needs to be challenged.
Yes. I'm going to jump to Samson. I'm going to come back to you because I want to talk about your journey of love, because we had a discussion. Like, I didn't even want to get off the phone with you, John, when you and me were just talking the things, man. So I want to really talk about your self-love journey, because I just loved it. I'm all about this being in love with yourself and, how we find that. So we're going to come back.
Yes.
OG Samson, 14. Yes. You can't turn backwards. Samson. I know when I met you and I put you, we cast you in Secrets of a Black Boy, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was when the Toronto Star did a story on Secrets of a Black Boy and you in the cast, then they talked about you being trans, because I remember when I auditioned you, I said, it has nothing to do with the casting, whether or not you're trans or not. I'm just casting the best person for this position. And I remember we had a discussion, and I said, it's up to you if you want to tell the rest of the cast or not. It's your story. It doesn't matter to me. You are the best actor for this role. And that was it. And then we got some coverage from the Toronto Star, and they did a story about you being trans. And that is when I think Toronto just blew up, because I think you were the first public person, and especially as a Black man, who went public in Toronto as being trans. Am I correct in how I'm remembering this?
To my knowledge, and
Yes.
what other people have told me, I was told by somebody else who came up under me, another Black trans man who came up under me. he was actually living in, I think, Vancouver at that time. And he said, to his knowledge, and he said, he goes, I even Googled it. Like literally I'm quoting him. He said, I even Googled it. You're the first out Black trans male actor in Canada. And I was like,
Yes.
wow, okay.
Yes.
Didn't know that,
Yes.
but all right. But I didn't plan on being out.
Mm-hmm.
You know? I had actually, when we did Secrets in 2009, I had June 26th, it was the Friday of Pride, is when I took my first testosterone shot in 2009. And I did not plan on saying anything to anybody. And something, I guess, in my spirit, really and truly, I also knew that I had no idea how testosterone was going to affect my body and how my body was going to respond to the testosterone. And I had been cast, as you remember, to play a teenager.
I remember, yes, because that's why I cast you, because I was
know.
just like, you look like a teenager, right? Even though you're a grown man.
Right. And I didn't know if from my first shot of testosterone, how quickly my body was going to respond. I didn't know if I was going to get a full beard. I didn't know if my voice was going to drop. I had no idea what was going to happen. So I was constantly worried about that. And I didn't want to take the chance that at some point after I'd been cast, that if it comes out that I wind up no longer looking the part of the character, then what? So I felt it was better for me to say something to the cast, but I never intended on saying anything to the media. I actually don't know how the media found out. And I don't know how or why it became the big story of
It became a huge story in Toronto. It was huge. I was really glad that it didn't become the whole story of Secrets, right? But it definitely became the sub-story, right? And I think you handled it in a way that, and what I was really happy about too, is that the cast really just kind of gathered around you and was just like, we don't give a shit. This is Samson and we're going to stand strong with you. And it was just a brotherhood that I had never seen before. And I was standing outside as a woman going, wow, these men are just coming together. And they were just like, this is it. This is my brother, and we're going to stand with you, right? And that was something that I was really happy, because I was scared that it was not going to turn. And I had every stereotype of who Black men would be in this situation. And I was scared that the Black men in our cast was going to give you a really hard time. I was really scared of that. And they were just the opposite. Yeah,
I was terrified. But I think there's something to be said about listening to your intuition, to your gut, to that there's something in your spirit that tells you to do something and to just follow, right?
Yes.
Without question, to just do it. So I did, and it turned out well, thankfully. And that article led to my mother, who didn't live in the country. That's how she found out. It's how my extended family found out. It's how my blood family found out. It's how everybody found out. And
so, Samson, I just want to quickly just turn to this situation in the sense of you being so publicly out as trans. Do you feel that people want to date you because you're this public figure, right? Because you live a very public life. And I want to bring it back to dating and relationship. Do you think that people want to date you as the persona of Samson? Because I know sometimes I get very scared when I see people slipping into my DMs, and I'm like, okay, do you want to really get to know me, or you want to know Trey Anthony? And you're out there. You're doing the Gillette's commercial. You're in Shaw. Your star is rising. Do you feel that people want to date you, or they want to date the persona of who Samson is?
I think it's layered. I think there are some people who possibly actually want to date me and get to know me and might be nervous about approaching me. I think there are some people who, once they encounter me, are actually interested in me, in getting to know me. I think some people want to date me because I'm Samson, this guy in the public eye. I think there are possibly also some people who want to date me because I'm trans and they've never been with somebody trans before and they find that interesting, or it's a fetish or whatever. So it's layered. I never used to know or be able to tell what people's intentions were. I
Yes.
used to trust that people were interested in me because they were interested in me, or at least I hoped that they were interested in me because they were interested in me. But I'm at a point now where I'm able to tell very quickly, and I'm able to discern a person's intentions with me. And I think that has made the way I look at dating and relationships now in a different light. And I think that also comes with being a traditional healer. It's enabled me to have a level of discernment that I didn't have before.
Oh, thank you. All right, we're going to come back to the healing. We're going to come back to job because I think this is all going to be linked. I'm going to go back to my married couple, Eric and Curtis. And we're going to link the daddies now. So Everett, feel free to jump in as well. How did you guys becoming parents? You guys know I'm a new parent right now. My baby's 6 months old, and I can say my whole life has damn well changed upside down, right? Like I can't even recall who I used to be, right? And everything's about my child. You two adopted this young boy, and I think Elijah was 12 when you adopted him, correct? Was he 12?
11. He was 11.
11. Okay, 11. How did that affect your relationship as a married couple? Like, was there a difference when another person then came into your lives and being a young boy who needed your time and attention?
Yeah, it changed. It changed a lot of things, but we just had to adjust to different things like creating a date night, which we had one before, but now it has
Very intentional.
You guys still go on date nights?
Yes, we do. We do.
Oh,
We
my
have to,
okay, journal, writing a poem, and date nights. I'm breaking it down for you guys. Okay, how often do you do this date night?
Well, before he came, we were doing it on Fridays. Every Friday we had a date. But even after he came, we find time for ourselves because we have other friends who have children now, and we can drop them off, and have a babysitter. We don't say babysitter, he's not a baby, but we would just let him, hang out with his friends, and then we go out for a date night. And
where do you go? Where do you go? Where do you go?
We go out to eat dinner. We don't
Okay.
go clubbing. We just go out and have time for ourselves. We may go see a show or something of that nature. And we try to include him sometimes, and he's not interested in some of the stuff we want to see, So it's like, okay, you go with your friends and we'll do our thing and we're good, But just to get out the house and go see a new play, go see a movie in a theater, just go out and be with adults.
Yeah, that is important.
Yeah.
Did you find having a child though affected your intimacy, like your physical intimacy? Because that's what I'm worried about right now. And I ain't got nobody. And I'm worried about this. I'm like, how am I going to do this? Like, I can't bring nobody home no more. Right?
No.
It did not affect that.
No, I think it actually brought us closer.
That's why you guys are happily married. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that.
No, it didn't stop nothing.
It brought you closer.
It brought us closer because we're giving out our time and energy between. I teach school, so Eric, I'm with kids all day, come home with the kids. Eric takes care of the stuff that I've done all day. So I give him a chance to play teacher and all that good stuff, play teacher. But then after that, it's like we have we call them bedside talks. Before we go to bed, we sit down and talk. How was your day or whatever, and so on and so forth. And it's our time.
I love that. Okay.
Our time, and just like, Josh said, and Samson, it's loving yourself first. I had to come to me. I had to love me first before I can love him. Impossible for me to say I'm gonna love you. I gotta love me. And if you don't take care of you, I can't take care of nobody else.
Yes, because I do find that happens with couples, is that all of a sudden you feel the other person is responsible for your well-being instead of saying I'm responsible for taking care of me and I need to take care of me. And then I show up whole, and then I meet you who's also taking care of yourself, and we show up together as a whole, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then together we can take care of him. You see,
yes.
So it's a tag team, And there's things that he does better with him than I do. Like he and I will sit and watch movies all night long. He and Eric will go joke and listen to the news music that I don't listen to, So
and you guys jog together. I know you and Elijah.
Yeah, we run together,
yes.
So it's a balance. And we realize it's nothing that you put down in stone, but you see it evolve. It's an evolution, you know? It's like a dance.
Nice.
You
Nice.
just dance. It's like,
You
okay,
dance.
who's gonna talk about this with him? You talk about that with him, you know?
I
So,
love that.
It's definitely
Okay, you guys are giving me hope because I'm dancing by myself right now, but I got
you ain't dancing by yourself. You're not dancing by yourself.
You know, Trey, I would also just add, particularly around the intimacy.
Let's bring Everett into the conversation. Because I know you got your leather kilt on and your leather. Who you dancing with, bro?
You know,
Everett, how soon when you start dating someone do you tell them that you have a child? Like, how has that been for you, Everett? Like, do you meet someone and then you tell them, or that's from the get-go?
I mean, I definitely tell folks in the beginning. If I'm meeting someone and I think it's going to be a relationship, then I tell them that, yeah, I have a little person. And for me, my little person is a big part of my life. And, you know, yeah, and I just want people to be very clear that I really value people's time. And so I value my time with my son. And, you know, I will be out of pocket. I will not be available during these certain times. And just to be clear about that, his needs really do come first. And, you know, and I don't introduce people to my son. So like,
Okay.
I'm very clear about not introducing him to people. And that's something that, like, you know, yeah, that level of intimacy, until I know something is really moving toward a relationship or even something long term, the same way I wouldn't introduce anyone to my mother right off the bat. I'm not going to introduce my son to that person.
You haven't introduced Elijah to anybody. No one's been that serious yet.
No.
Okay.
No. And I'm very clear about having time for myself so I can cultivate and practice what does it look like to be intimate with other folks in different levels of intimacy, so that I'm not trying to, you know, get a need met through my relationship with my son, and spending up that time, but also having some time to work on myself as well. So, you know, I think one of my fears that I had, a fear that I had was that, you know, there's a gap now, right? Like, I'm not in a relationship and I'm raising a son, and, you know, I'm grieving something. I'm grieving the loss of a long-term relationship. I'm grieving a connection that I don't want to just fill up with my son. I want to fill up with, like, you know, myself and boundaries and understanding when to be porous and when to do self-care and when to really focus on my son as well as myself. So just trying to, like, figure it all out. But no, I'm not interested in introducing him to anyone, and vice versa.
Can I say something?
That. Yes.
With the grieving part of having time for your, you know, the grieving aspect. It's so true, because there's times that we used to do things like after dinner, we would dance every night. After dinner, we would just dance, put on some music and do our little dance. We haven't done that.
I love you guys, eh? I just love you guys. Okay,
we haven't done that in a while. And now that we have him here, it's like, well, we have dinner, we talk, whatever, but we don't do that. And I just think about that. I'm like, we don't dance no more. You know, there's parts that I'm like, hey, we got to get that back in there regardless. You know, we had to put that back in there because that was part of the ritual that we created, you know?
Yes.
That aspect of going and just being by myself and you being by yourself. But now we have someone else with us, right? So it's like, okay, there's some grieving going in. But we found a way to do that as well. And it's a process, and it's no manual for it. None whatsoever.
Yes. And it's definitely a balance and act.
And it's a balance of creating the self-care balance, the relationship balance, and looking after your son balance. All of those things is balancing. I'm going to jump to Ja, because Ja, when we talked, you spoke a lot to me around self-care. And one of the things that you mentioned that you started a Black male yoga group, and you're doing a gardening group. Can you just tell me a bit about your self-care journey and what that looks like for you, of what taking care of Ja looks like?
I'm laughing a little bit. Very good question. I think the consistent thing that I will say today is that it's always a journey, and I'm always learning things on a day-to-day of like what I need to do to take care of myself. Yeah, I started, well, it was me and another gentleman that started this yoga group. Now me and another person who is a part of the wellness collective who does yoga specifically with Black women. And I basically found out about it because somebody told me that they thought it would be helpful for what I was going through. And I remember when we spoke on the phone, I mentioned that I was somebody that has navigated the criminal justice system, and I was basically going through turmoil, and I didn't really know who I was, and I felt like the things that resonated with me before no longer served purpose in my life, and I was feeling very blank. And I was looking, I was just trying to grab onto anything that I could grab on to that would even remotely give me some sort of feeling of hope, basically. And when I spoke to this gentleman, he was like, we should do a yoga session with just Black men and focus on healing, basically. And I was like, I'll be down to do that. And so we eventually did it, and it was a very small group. It was 7 of us, but it was the most impactful thing that I've done in a long time. Like, I haven't been around, my relationship with Black men in general are very screwed in general because I didn't grow up around Black men. And then the Black men that I found myself around along this journey weren't people that I would like to surround myself with right now. So it was really nice to be in a space of Black men, and we were just in a space that was like so gentle, so kind, so forgiving, and so empathetic towards everybody's journeys, no matter who they were or where they were coming from. And along the way of me going through this journey, I was always feeling like I was always trying to figure out if I was somebody that was worth redemption, and if I was somebody that was redeemable. And being in that group of men, I felt so loved. Like I've just never felt a hug from Black men like that ever in my life, where I was able to share things that would easily be things that could be judged. And and so yeah, we had that. It was amazing. And I was like, honestly, we need to be doing this more. And this idea too, like the gentleman that brought up yoga to me, he did say, in the yoga spaces, it's so awkward sometimes being the only Black guy around a whole bunch of white women and white men.
Oh yeah, like when I go to yoga, it is so white, especially in Toronto. Atlanta, it's a whole different ball game, and I love that. That was one of the things I loved about Atlanta when I actually went to a yoga class in Atlanta, and I would say 80% of the class was Black. It blew my mind, right? Whereas in Toronto, you can count the Black people. Like maybe there's 2 of you, and if there's 2 of you in the class, you're feeling happy. So that reminds me, guys, people who are watching, you are able to ask questions, and we will put them through to our wonderful guests. So please ask. Someone said something about trap yoga in Atlanta. Whoa, yes, okay. I love it. I love the yoga classes. So I think that's really important. One of the things that I wanted to really touch on, because this really struck me with our conversation, and it's something I also wanted to know, Samson, if this is something that you also deal with, is you said, Ja, around trying to really deal with being yourself and also dealing with the toxic kind of stereotypical ways of how Black masculinity is played out and how you navigate that, right? Of what is supposed to be a Black man and his position, and also how do you then combine your vulnerability in that? Because I think that was something that you talked about also too when you said about being hugged by another Black man, right? How do you reconcile your vulnerability with your masculinity? What happened for you in that? Because I remember you said that was something that you struggled with.
Yeah, like I mean, there's so many things, and this is beyond masculinity though, like just toxic behaviors and cycles that I was a part of long before I even transitioned. And so when I transitioned, I think a lot of those things very amplified, not only within myself, but how I'm read in society today as a Black man, and realizing that just by me existing, I am seen as a threat and seen as somebody that is, and I think there were part of me, even with the healing part too, was that I was somebody that really was trying my hardest to find any possible thing to make me seem more gentle than I was. And in turn of that, I did turn to things that I feel like, but I also know that weren't good for me. In turn of finding out those gentle things, I feel like there was a part of me rebelling against that too, of like, what is the point of even doing anything remotely that made me feel gentle when I'm only going to be seen as someone as bad? What is the point if the only group of people that I can even be around are people who might not be good for me, because that's the only place I can feel fully accepted as a Black man? That was my experience. So I felt like I really did gravitate towards people that just weren't good for me, but not just people, but I was gravitating to a part within myself that wasn't good. And I was allowing myself to be there because it felt more stable and more comfortable to fit in than be different. I think that when I was looking and like searching for who I was, I legit had to it was beyond my gender or my sexuality or anything.
You just had to find out who you were.
Who am I? Who am I? I don't even know.
Yes.
I don't even know.
I just want to jump in with Samson, because I know Samson, you talk a lot about healing. You are a healer now. And that's what you do as well. After acting, producing, and your healing. So what has your healing journey been like for you? And also, one of the questions I wanted to really ask you is, how did vulnerability show up? And I want to ask everybody on this panel, what does vulnerability look like for you in a relationship?
I think, okay, so a couple of things.
Answer the vulnerability question first. Yes.
So it's interesting because, and I appreciate you, John, for bringing this up. When I first encountered John, when I first encountered a lot of Black trans men who are interested in beginning to medically transition, or just to live as their true selves, one of the things that I remind every single one of them is that as Black men, not just as Black trans men, but as Black men, to recognize that how the world currently views Black men and what the world to view as Black men, that is also going to be you. You are also going to be seen the same way. It is not as though you will be separate then, because if the world is able to acknowledge and accept and even subconsciously welcome your truth, they are going to see you the same way as they do as Black cisgender men, and you are going to be a threat. And can you handle that? Because that is not an easy thing to be able to handle, right? To go into the world and whether you're a Black woman or a Black man or you're non-binary or whatever, but having Black skin, the world already sees you as a threat. There are already going to be people locking doors and holding purses and running to the other side, or not wanting their kids to date you, or X, Y, and Z. But can you handle it from the other aspect where the entire world, even some in your own community, whether it's also Black women or Black non-binary folks, but there are other people who are automatically going to view you as a threat, unfortunately, because of some of the behaviors that society has told people are intrinsic to Black maleness. Right? So that is one thing. And then to figure out, what does your masculinity then look like? How do you define your own masculinity? For me, I grew up with, yes, my mother had me around some Black men as her friends, etc. And I would pick and choose from them and from the Black men I saw on TV what attributes I appreciated, I respected, and I thought made a man a man. And so I used those to mold them into what felt and resonated with me, and that became how I approached my masculinity. But I recognized that the men that I looked up to were men that were able to say, I love you, were men that were able to hold and hug another man, were able to look at somebody and see them as the person that they are and not as the threat that society has placed and position that society has placed on that person, right? So in relationships, I enter relationships cognizant of the fact that I represent, for some of the people that I have dated, traumatic figures in their lives. I honor that. I recognize that. I understand that. There's nothing I can really do about that, because that is who I am viewed as to a lot of people. As a Black man, that is how I am seen. I am seen as a threat, even in spite of somebody wanting to love me through that, right?
Yes.
All I can do is come in with my heart in my hand and show them that I am here to listen, to talk, and to assist them in whatever ways that I can to help them get to a place of understanding who I am.
Yes.
Because I think it's important that a lot of people, and also when I first meet somebody and I'm getting ready to date somebody, or I'm thinking about dating somebody, one of the key questions that I ask, because everybody has like a list, or you have a journal.
Yeah.
Or
What's the key question before I jump to the other couple?
questions
Tell
that
me.
I ask is, I ask a person, what does love look like to you?
To you. Yes.
What have your examples of love been? Do those feel like healthy examples of love for you? And what kind of love do you feel like you deserve, and how does that look? That way I know how to properly approach them and to love them. Because it's not enough to say, I'm going to treat you how I want to be treated, because how I want to be treated isn't how they want to be treated, right? So it's important that I know how their relationship is with love. And it's important for me to also know what their triggers are. So I ask them what their triggers are in love and in relationships. Because I think that that's key, right?
But that requires, I think, in that, for somebody to answer with a level of vulnerability, right? Because like for me, for example, if somebody said, what's my triggers? I know right away what's my triggers, right? But I know I ain't gonna tell you the exact triggers, right? Because there's certain things I want to keep to my damn self until I know I can trust you. So I'd be like, oh, I just don't like when you keep a messy house, when my biggest trigger is don't leave me. I have abandonment issues, right? So I'm just wondering, like, how honest are people when you ask those questions? Because it takes a level of vulnerability and trust, right?
I think yes, it definitely takes a level of vulnerability and trust. Not everybody is open, because of course people are still guarded. But again, I walk into it with the example of what I'm hoping for. And I'm also cognizant, and I inform them that I'm here, I am patient. There is a point in time where I would hope that you reciprocate.
Yes.
And I understand that right now you might not be in that place, but I hope you're also looking at avenues and ways and places and people that can assist you in getting to that place if you are not yet ready to allow me to assist you in getting to that place.
Okay, good. Okay, I want to bring this question to the audience. Thank you, man. You just went deep. Deep. Thank you for going deep. Eric, this was a question from the audience that I want to give to Eric and Curtis. People ask, how does spirituality factor into your relationship? What does spirituality look like for you? We got some deep audience members, man. I like that. I like that. Yes. So talk to us about spirituality for you guys.
It's the foundation. It's the foundation of who we are. And that was one of the most important things, was having someone who had spiritual beliefs and not religious beliefs, because it's totally two different things. Because when you're spiritual, you learn on your own. When you're religious, someone is telling you what to believe.
Did each of you grow up in religious households and then you decided to become spiritual? Is your background religious at all?
No. I ran to the church when I realized that I was a gay man, right? I ran to the church That's when I was like 18 or something, thinking that I was going to be saved and, you know, cleansed and all that good stuff. And that put me on the path to realize that this is not it. So I became a seeker. And then I started looking into other forms. I looked into Islam. I looked into Yoruba. I looked into universal teachings. I looked into a lot of different things, and I kept searching because I knew that there was nothing wrong with me.
Okay.
Because I knew that whatever was created is created in love. So I knew there was nothing wrong, but everybody was saying there's something wrong, but I wasn't going to accept that. So I dibbled and I dabbled and I tried to find out where do I fit in? And it was just being spiritual, understanding that I am a child of the Most High.
Yes.
You know? That's the bottom
Would
line.
you be with somebody who did not have a spiritual foundation, like someone who said, well, I'm an atheist and I don't believe in spirituality or religion? Do you think you could be with somebody like that? I
did that. No, I couldn't do it because that causes conflict, a lot of conflict. Yes. I respect your beliefs, you know, but for me, it's deeper than that, because if you cannot understand that this experience that we're having as human beings is coming from a higher power, I don't know. Well, I don't know how to talk.
Okay. And I want to go back to Everett, because this was a question that someone had for the audience. What would you say to your younger self about love and the lessons you have learned? I think that's a nice way of kind of talking tonight. Like, what would you say to your, oh my gosh, I don't even know where to start with me, boy, but anyways, about me. What would you say to your younger self about love, the lessons you've learned?
Yeah, I would say to my younger me that love is a practice and that it can stretch you. And sometimes it should transform you, and that you can grow in love, and also you can land in a place where you can get so excited about the taste of love that you forget about growth. And so I would say to self to allow yourself to be transformed by love, but also to transform love itself into where you want to go. And that that you can plant the seed of love wherever you are, and that you have an opportunity to not just raise your son in love, but also to allow him to see the mass like emotion and ranges of love in itself, and that you are love embodied in divine. So
I love that. And Everett, do you have a spiritual practice? I know, because I see you with the leather, I automatically go, oh, he's not spiritual, right? Because he's in his leather. But I know you are, so that's why
I'm a preacher's kid.
I
am a preacher's kid. I am in divinity school starting in the fall at Candler Theology.
My gosh.
I work for the Unitarian Universalist Association, and my mom was actually, who is a Reverend Dr. Reverend Karen Georgia Thompson, actually told me that a part of my spiritual journey is also loving intimacy and pushed me to do leather. I was like, I'm interested.
Your mother pushed you to do leather?
Absolutely.
A Jamaican mom pushed you to do leather?
Yeah, well, she said, if this is a part of finding who you are, then never hide any part of who you are, and be truthful to that. And there's love wherever you find that, and there's God in that place too. So I
need your Jamaican mom to come talk to my Jamaican mom, okay? Because this is a whole different new mom.
I talk to her all the time. And my little brother.
Okay, that is cool. That is cool. There's a question from the audience right now. What says, Eric, how did you and your partner meet? It's a tough world out there. I know you guys already kind of touched on that, but can you quickly I bet you this was somebody who came into the room late, but it's okay. We're fine. Just quickly tell us how you guys met very quickly. Everybody loves a good love story. Real quick.
Well, as I said before, I called Eric, but physically when we met at the place where it's called Jeju. It's a spa.
I love Jeju's.
So there's self-love and taking care of yourself. And I was there because I was just stressed out because I had just lost my cat, right?
And it's a Korean spa. For those of you guys who aren't in Atlanta, let me tell you what it is. It's kind of like a 24-hour spa. And you can go and you can get massages, you can eat lunch there, you can sit and read, and you get these body scrubs, you can get everything. and the thing is that you're naked. Like everybody's, I don't know, is it like that on the men's side? Because I know on the women's side, everybody's naked.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Same
so
thing. But
he was there by himself.
Yeah, I was there by myself, and I was just there because I was de-stressing. It was Memorial Day weekend, and I missed the whole, in Atlanta, the Jazz Festival is the biggest thing, right? That's the kickoff of the spring. And I missed the whole thing waiting for my cat to come home. And I had just lost my other cat a few months before. I love cats. I love animals, right? So anybody knows
you're
me,
vulnerable. You're feeling sad.
You're
feeling sad, and then you spotted this wonderful naked brother.
No, he spotted me. That's a real story. He spotted me.
And all of a sudden, you forgot about your cat.
Yes. Well, we tell the story.
Okay, so what happened, Eric? How did you see him across the room and you went to talk to him, or he came and talked to you?
Well, he asked me where I was from.
Yes, I remember that part.
So we were at the pool and you were just sitting and relaxing, and he asked, "Where are you from?"
But when you first told me, what face did I have?
Yeah, he was like, "Don't bother me." Like,
just don't be. I wasn't in the mood to be bothered with people. I didn't want to talk to nobody. It was just at that point, like, just move, leave me alone.
But then you decided that you wanted to talk to this dude.
Yeah, and I'm like, what do you want, right?
He didn't do that to me, but he just said, look.
But it was,
So did you guys exchange numbers at the spa? Like, how did that come to let's go out on a date? Like, what happened?
We were leaving around the same time, so we exchanged numbers. And then after that, we were talking every day,
Okay, I want to ask you guys this question, and this is me as a gay woman, right? Because I sometimes go out and I'll see a woman and I think this woman is looking at me and I'm looking at her, but then I'm like, is she gay? I'm not sure if she's gay, or she's just like a really over-friendly straight girl, and I want to give her my number, but then I'm like, I don't want to give her my number because what if she ain't really gay? So how did you guys know that each other were gay? Like how did you get to that point to say, oh, he's not going to say, hey, bro, I'm not gay? Like, I don't know where you're coming from. Because sometimes that happens to me as a woman. Like, I feel I'm getting a gay vibe, and then all of a sudden I realize she's just really friendly, right? Like, so how did you guys know? Because J-Juice isn't a gay spot. So how did you know?
How did you know? I don't know. I guess my gay, I wasn't even thinking of that in the beginning. But after we finished talking and everything else, I said, well, okay, I'm going to go my way, whatever. And I said, well, you want to exchange numbers? We can hang out sometime, And he said, yeah. And then after that, we just started talking and started hanging out. And I said, well, just to be clear with you, let you understand who I am. This is who I am, blah, blah, blah. And
so did you know he was gay at that point? Did you know, Eric, that Curtis was gay and that he was coming to you as a vibe? Like, hey, this is more than a friendship. Or you thought it was a friendship vibe?
In the beginning, I mean, when I saw him, no, I didn't.
Yeah. You didn't know.
When we were just having conversation, but my eyes saw him, so it's.
Okay, you guys are giving me hope. You give me hope. Okay, let me go back to John Gray. John, talk to me about your spirituality. What does your practice look like? And what would you tell your younger self? That was a question from the audience that I thought was a really good one. What would you tell your younger self?
My practice right now, it just involves, so I do martial arts right now, which is a form that I do. I do meditation, and yoga has been a new thing that's been on my docket, and that's kind of what I do for my spiritual practice. It's always kind of, I think, like I said, I'm always in a learning period with myself, and even the spirituality part is something that I've never really taken. So I haven't taken that in so much because I think that my spirituality has been very influenced by what other people do with their spirituality. So I'm still trying to figure out what that looks like, but a lot of it is meditation and doing things that put me in a place of peace. Playing piano for me is a big thing. And I, whenever I'm feeling not the greatest, but also when I'm feeling the greatest too, I do play. But yes, meditation has been a big thing.
I love meditation. I meditate every single day. Like that is just.
I try to.
Yes.
I try to. I do meditate like a few times a week, but sometimes I do not get to do it during the day. I forget, and it's still a new thing for me. But usually when I do it's in the morning and in the night. And right now I'm using an app to help me do that. And what I would tell my younger self, that is a loaded question, because I would tell myself so much. But I think that what I would tell myself is that your voice matters.
Ooh, I love that.
You know, your voice matters, and the way that you feel is valid. I would also tell myself that you know, things can coexist. It doesn't have to be one or the other.
Yes.
And don't let anybody tell you that. And I think that's just a big thing in my life right now, of realizing that there's many truths that can coexist, you know. And I feel like if I was younger, I think maybe I would have dealt with things a little bit better.
Yes.
And yeah, and another thing too, I would just tell myself that, you know, yeah, it's gonna be challenging, but you're gonna do it. You're gonna kill it. You're gonna make it. You know, happiness is something that is achievable.
Yes.
And you're not gonna be sad forever. You know, you're
That
not
is
gonna be
the
angry
one
forever.
biggest lesson I've learned.
Yeah.
Is that everything is always consistently changing. And sometimes we get really stuck in that moment of thinking this is going to be it forever.
Yeah.
But joy
changes,
anger changes, you know, happiness. Yeah. So I love that.
Yeah.
We have a question from the audience. Yeah. Sorry, John.
I just said it, that is challenging too, because I think that you know, when you listen, like if you listen to the noise outside of yourself, other people are telling you that's not something that is a thing. So you do get stuck, because people hold you to that too. Right.
Yes.
So yeah.
I have a question from the audience, and I'd love Samson to answer. And you guys, if you feel the need that it speaks to you, one of the questions was, what do you think is the biggest challenge right now facing Black men? And any of you guys can feel free to jump in, and then I'm going to wrap it up soon, because my God, where did the time go? Yes. But I did want to answer that question from the audience. Feel free to pass, Samson. If you want to pass the baton to someone, it's up to you.
Yeah, I'm gonna pass on that one, because
that's a heavy one, eh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyone else want to jump in on that one?
Corona.
And the police. And the police.
I guess I could say one.
Okay.
But it's kind of hard, because this question makes me feel like I'm gonna generalize everybody, and I don't think we should generalize.
Okay.
But I think a biggest one for me and for the men that I have been around is the vulnerability aspect.
Yes.
I think it's really hard to be vulnerable to people and to say what you actually feel, and to not feel like the person's gonna leave you. You know?
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, like for a single Black man out there too, I think, yeah, it's just, and this is not, yeah, I want to remove the single too, but I think the vulnerability aspect of it, and kind of like, you know, I think COVID and all that stuff really did shed light on this, is that, and Samson actually touched on this a little bit too, is that a lot of people have a hard time with being sitting with themselves.
Yes.
You know, and I feel like also when you're single, you feel like you should be in something. You know?
Yes,
so
yes.
That
is the thing that I had to slow my ass down on. I had to just slow my ass down on. And I was just like, you just came out of 4 years shit, and a great relationship, good relationship, 4 years, slow your ass down. You don't need to be in nothing with nobody, right? Be with your damn self. Yeah. Right. And I think sometimes we have to just be in a relationship with ourselves, but it's hard, especially if I'm a person who loves relationships. I love love. So I love just the security of waking up with somebody. I love kind of being in the kitchen and we're cooking our meals together. I want to be on the couch watching This Is Us. And now I have to do that shit by myself. And right, so I have to slow myself down and say it's okay. You're okay doing these things by yourself. You know,
It's
but I
not
have to have
fun
a
cooking
pep
by
talk.
yourself, though. It's not fun cooking for one. It's just not.
I know it's
I
true.
I
It is.
think
It
too,
is.
Trey, I think now really thinking about it, I think the other thing too is that there's this common idea that we are raised with, that especially around masculinity, that you, if you're, even if you're not in a relationship, you're supposed to be bedding somebody all the time, right?
Mhm.
You're always supposed to be sexually intimate with somebody all
Okay.
the time. So to just, even just the idea of being celibate is
Mm.
a hard concept for a
Yeah.
lot of people, not just men, but a lot of people, but especially Black men I've noticed, to really hold and take in. Um, and I noticed that it's hard. It's like I did say earlier, it is hard to be with yourself, right?
Mhm.
COVID has given us the opportunity to be with ourselves, but people are still willing to take the risk of COVID just to avoid being with themselves, and to have to
Yes.
sit with yourself and recognize all the ways that you have experienced trauma, all the ways that you do not feel whole, all the ways that you don't feel lovable, all the ways that you have been harmful to others. It's
Mm.
not easy for anybody to have to look into that mirror. So I think, especially for Black men and for single Black men, it is hard to really recognize and see who you really are in all aspects of yourself, love yourself in spite of it, and then
Yeah.
go out there and hope that somebody can also love you.
Love you. True. And Ever, I know you wanted to jump in before we wrap up, so I could feel you. You want to say something. What you got to say, my brother?
Yeah, I just want to say that I think for me being single, like I am alone, but I'm not lonely. And
Mm,
I think
yes.
my level of intimacy, even in the times of COVID, has been really beautiful. And just want to I'm really grateful for particularly Black held spaces where folks can have conversations like we're having tonight, but also I always say, go back to my brotherhood of Onyx. We still talk to each other via Zoom, via house party, all these different ways that we are still talking about what are we longing for in our relationships, in our journeys, and even with my family, with my little brother. So even though I'm single, and I think there's other singles places, we can still create a culture of intimacy and a culture of really connecting with each other during this time. And so single or not, I'm alone but not lonely.
And I want to say something about you, Everett, which I think is just amazing, that you just have this. I don't know what it is, if this is a sixth sense or what, but you will just randomly just send somebody a text. Like, I love your texts. You will send me a text and be just like, sis, I was just thinking of you. I want you to know I love you. There's the sunshine up in the sky. You just send these kind of texts, and I'm just like, I look at my phone and I'm like, and they come at just the right moment. Like, you have a way of just giving love in just a way I've never seen people just randomly just send love texts. And I think that is one of the most beautiful things of having you in my life, that you will just randomly just send me these messages. And I'm like, I haven't talked to you in like 5-6 months. And all of a sudden it's like, sis, I love you. I just want you to know that. And that's it. Right? That's like, and I think it's one of the most vulnerable things I've ever seen. But I just want to say, how you give love to the people in your life is just amazing. And I want to thank you for that, because in some of my darkest moments, some of your texts has made me just say, I'm not alone, And so I just wanted to say that. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you create community. You really create community. Okay, before I start crying, a PMSing as well, so this is not good. So anyway, but I love that about Everett. Okay, I want to end on a hopeful note, right? And I want you guys to finish this sentence. Love is for me. And we're going to fill in the blanks. So I'm going back to the couple, the hopeful couple. The hopeful couple. I want you to get off this phone and dance tonight because we need to keep you together. Okay? We need to keep you together. You tell Elijah to go to his bed. You guys are going to dance tonight. I want you to find that journal where you wrote down the shit and just mail it to me. So I can have it word for word. And then I'm going to just go sit at Juju's, right? And wait for the girl to walk in. But all jokes aside, my lovely, wonderful couple and friends who are just amazing. Love is to me what?
Love is to me feeling secure.
Love to me is action. It's action. Love is action. Put it in action. Show me.
Ooh, show me. Show me. That's what I'm asking next. Show me. Love is show me. Samson, love is to me what?
Love is to me divine.
Yes.
Ooh, deep. I love that about Samson. Hey, deep, man. Ja, love is to me what?
Oh wow, I'm still thinking about this. Can I go?
Yeah,
after
we'll come back to you. We'll come back to you because I know you a deep brother too. So I'm waiting on you. Everett, come in, bro. Come on, represent Jamaica.
Love is to me, sweet kisses and that bass drop and the sweetest house song.
Ooh, love is to me rolled dumpling, soup, manish water. No, okay. Love is to me. Ja, you ready? Or we go
Yeah, I have
past?
so many things, but I don't know. I think for me, maybe love is to me is adapting and being adaptable to change.
Ooh, I love that. And I love the bass drop from Everett and adaptable to change. Oh my gosh, you guys, this has been just an amazing, wonderful experience for me. And I know the audience loved it. I want to thank you guys for sharing your life, your world, your lessons in love, giving me hope, giving me faith, giving me laughter. I just loved it. And I really want to thank Harborfront for this opportunity to create these wonderful talks. The next one coming up is going to be on Tuesday of next week, and it's about allyship. So, and Ashley Mackenzie, Thursday of next week, Thursday. And Ashley Mackenzie Barnes is going to be hosting that. And it's on allyship. It's going to be amazing. Then on the Saturday, I'm doing a parenting panel about how do we as Black parents raise Black sons in this movement right now of what's happening. And we have a whole bunch of different parents who are coming on to talk about what it's like raising Black boys in this environment. So we have so much happening. You guys tune in to all of the amazing panels that we're doing. And Ashley, we're doing the damn thing, girl. We're doing the damn thing. I want to thank all of the technical staff, Matt and Tim behind the scenes, Laura, Diana, all of the Harborfront people who put this together and to make this possible, and our sponsor, TD. And thank you, audience, for tuning in. And you guys are just the best. Thank you all. I've learned a lot. I've laughed a lot, and I feel full. So thank you for feeding me with your spirit, you guys, tonight. And that's it. Trey Anthony, Black Girl in Love. And thank you.